This is Andy Lewis, and you're listening to the Norse Mentality. On this episode, I'm going to dive deep into the topic of sleep. And the reason for this is because proper sleep could be considered the most important aspect of physical and mental performance. It's extremely important, and yet most people do not make it a priority. They would rather look for shortcuts with supplements and drugs and all this other shit, when in reality, if you can get your sleep and your nutrition dialed in, you're guaranteed to make progress in every aspect of your life. Like most things, the solution can be found by looking at what your ancestors did. Your ancestors were in tune with the natural environment and everything else around them, and the goal here is to copy that experience as much as possible and apply it to your daily life. The issue, though, is that there's a lot of other factors standing in your way of getting a solid night of sleep nowadays. The main thing being the fact that we are surrounded by external stimulation that makes shutting down at night extremely difficult. These factors are messing with your body's natural ability to prepare for sleep. The reason for this is because these factors block melatonin from being released into the body at the proper time. And for those of you that are unfamiliar with the term, melatonin is a hormone produced by the pineal gland, which is located in your brain. It's responsible for regulating your body's circadian rhythm, which manages your natural sleep cycle, so it's pretty goddamn important. 99% of people have a healthy production of melatonin. They just have outside factors affecting it. But instead of eliminating these other factors, they booze up at night or take a bunch of sleep aids in hope of getting some rest. By the end of this episode, you're going to know how to optimize this important recovery process without the use of external supplements. And as a side note, a lot of these over-the-counter products, such as melatonin, are not really effective and they end up causing you more harm than good. So just be careful with what you're taking. Exposure to different colors of light will also play a huge part in your sleep quality, especially being able to fall asleep quickly and wake up feeling ready to take on the world. The body's natural circadian rhythm functions off of different colors of lights. For example, blue light stimulates the brain and will wake you up. This is why it's difficult to fall asleep if you're playing on your phone or watching TV in bed. While a warm orange light will cause less stimulation and it allows your brain to start shutting down for the day. The intensity of light, meaning the brightness of it, is a big component in feeling tired or awake, and I'm going to help you tackle that aspect as well. How you start your day is extremely important, especially when it comes to sleep. And I know that sounds odd, but there's a ton of evidence behind it, and that's why we're going to talk about waking up first thing. So let's get started on that. Having a consistent wake-up time will dictate your quality of sleep at night. Fixing this one aspect will show results almost immediately. You need to be waking up at the same time every day, including the weekends. That means being realistic and choosing a wake-up time that you will actually stick to 7 days a week, no matter what. I recommend waking up early for numerous reasons, but it all depends on your schedule. If you can wake up at 5 a.m. to knock out some goals first thing in the morning when you have less distractions, then absolutely do it. This is going to be the fastest way to get ahead. Odin said it best in the Have 'Em All: wake early if you want another man's life or land. No lamb for the lazy wolf, no battles won in bed. Listen to the Allfather, because as always, he knows best. I understand though that this is going to be less doable for people that work more into the night. So just use your best judgment here and decide what's going to work best for you. The main thing is to actually stick to it. I cannot stress that enough. Now, before you start bitching about not being able to sleep in on the weekends, I want you to take a second and think about your priorities. You are not a teenager. You are on a mission to take full advantage of life, and that means making sacrifices to perform to the best of your ability every day. Having a consistent wake-up time will allow you to do that. And the reason for this is because our bodies are biological clocks with the use of a circadian rhythm. If we wake up at the same time every day, we can reinforce the circadian rhythm and be prompted to go to sleep at the same time every night. This will allow you to fall asleep faster, sleep better, and wake up feeling refreshed. This is something that your body was naturally built to do, so you might as well take advantage of it. The next thing you're going to want to do as soon as you wake up is chug 20 to 30 ounces of water. You just slept for 7 to 9 hours without consuming any liquids, and your body is naturally going to be dehydrated because of it. And just to clarify, I said water, not coffee. Don't chug 20 to 30 ounces of coffee as soon as you wake up. If you're going to drink coffee, do it after you drink some water. You're going to feel a lot better because of it. I prepare a rehydration drink the night before that consists of 30 ounces of water, 1 squeezed lemon, 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, and a couple pinches of Himalayan sea salt. This is pretty much water on steroids, and it will have you feeling absolutely fucking amazing. I recommend giving it a try. After you chug your water, it's time to get some light exposure. This will tell your body that it's time to wake up. The absolute best light that you can get is from the sun. 10 minutes of natural sunlight as soon as you wake up is the goal. Now, if you're waking up early or you live in the north during the winter, this is going to be difficult to do. Any light is better than none, and they also make daylight simulators that you can buy on Amazon. I've never used one, but they have some pretty solid reviews. I still recommend getting outside once the sun starts to come up, but artificial light will get the job done until that happens. I know it's common to grab your phone and start scrolling through social media as soon as you wake up. I used to be guilty of this as well. But don't do that. It's terrible for your mental health and productivity. Stay off of your phone for at least the first 90 minutes after waking. This is your time to prepare for the day. The last thing that you need to do is flood your brain with all this other bullshit going on in the world. To make it less tempting, put your phone in a separate room, lock it up, do whatever you need to do. I promise you that the world will not stop turning because you don't have your phone. You need to learn how to embrace solitude. Use this quiet time to work on a new skill, read, write, meditate, work out, do whatever you want to do. Just avoid technology as much as possible. You'll also be surprised at how much this will decrease anxiety and stress throughout the rest of your day. Now, we just covered the morning routine. Let's go ahead and jump into that midday slump. This is something that we all experience, and it's completely normal. The best thing that you can do to offset this is to listen to your body and take a nap. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the midday nap, and it's something that we've been doing for thousands of years. As a matter of fact, almost every animal on this planet takes a nap, but for some reason, it's frowned upon in modern society. As a general rule of thumb, if modern culture says that's bad for you, then you should probably be doing it. Hitting a 20-minute nap can give you a fresh start and allow you to tackle the rest of your day at full force. Some alternatives to a nap are meditation or yoga nidra. This allows you to shut the brain off for a little bit and process everything that has happened up to that point. And honestly, I would recommend yoga nidra if you're able to lie down. Just YouTube yoga nidra for a couple guided sessions. As soon as you get done with your nap or meditation, try to go outside and get some sunlight. Getting sunlight is going to help you reset and wake up. And I understand that this is going to be difficult to do depending on your job, but if you can squeeze in a little bit of shut-eye into that 30-minute lunch break, it will be extremely beneficial for you. Even 10 minutes can do wonders for your energy levels throughout the rest of the day. That means you might have to lose that 15 minutes of scrolling through Instagram, but once again, sacrifices need to be made in order to live a better quality of life. While we're at it, let's go ahead and talk about caffeine for a second. There's nothing wrong with caffeine when it's timed correctly. If possible, try to eliminate all caffeine 6 to 8 hours before going to bed. Caffeine will usually stay in your system for up to 8 hours, so you want that out of your system before you try to go to sleep at night. So if you go to bed at 10 o'clock, you need to have your last cup of coffee around 2 o'clock. You might be able to go without caffeine entirely if you can take that midday nap and get some extra sunlight. Now, let's dive into that nighttime routine. To fully make the most of your nightly routine, we need to discuss ultradian rhythms. The body has two distinct cycles that help regulate almost every aspect of our being. The first is the circadian rhythm, and the second is the ultradian rhythm. The ultradian rhythm is a recurring cycle repeated throughout a 24-hour day. This is usually done in 90-minute increments. The circadian rhythm completes one cycle daily. If you know how to tap into your body's ultradian rhythms, you can get more done by working when your body and mind are at peak performance, and then you recharge when you need it most. Somewhere between 90 and 120 minutes, the body begins to crave a period of rest and recovery. Once again, listen to your body. I want you to remember that aspect because it's going to come in handy here in a few minutes. During this cycle, your body has a period of extra energy and alertness, followed by a period of fatigue. During that burst of energy, you can work when your body is ready to get more shit done. Ultradian rhythms also apply to our sleep cycles. Studies have shown that one complete sleep cycle lasts on average of 90 minutes. It's broken down into 65 minutes of non-REM sleep, 20 minutes of REM sleep, and 5 minutes of non-REM sleep. If we were able to sleep completely natural with no alarm clocks, we'd wake up on the average of a multiple of 90 minutes. For example, 4.5 hours, 6 hours, 7.5 hours, 9 hours are all complete sleep cycles, but 7 or 8 hours are not because these are not multiples of 90 minutes. In the period between sleep cycles, we are not actually sleeping. It is a sort of twilight zone, and if we don't get woken up, we move into another 90-minute sleep cycle. There are also apps that you can download that will help you find what time to go to sleep based off your constant wake-up time. These are pretty useful, and most of them are free. Now, let's rewind a bit and talk about your pre-sleep routine. As I discussed earlier, light exposure plays a huge role in feeling tired or awake. So as you... Sorry guys, this is a lot of information. So as you start to unwind at night, it's best to limit external lights. This tells your brain that it's time to start shutting down for the day. Candlelight is best, but lamps with lower light intensity will work as well. This also means putting away all electronics and turning off your TV. The longer you stay on your phone, the more you're stimulating your brain, which will result in a more difficult time going to sleep. A good rule of thumb is to start your bedtime routine 90 minutes before you plan on going to sleep. Some people freak out at the thought of going 90 minutes without being on their phone. If this is you, then it's a sign that you definitely need to start limiting your time on these devices. You are allowing it to control you, which is a problem that needs to be addressed. Most people are terrified of being bored, and this is because they are afraid of dealing with their own issues. So in reality, that's all the more reason to be bored and alone with your thoughts. And this may sound harsh, but only a coward would avoid boredom for this reason. With that being said, there are plenty of other things that you can do the last 90 minutes of your day to start unwinding, but still be productive at the same time. Activities such as meditation, journaling, yoga, planning your next day, or straightening up the house are all great choices. Just experiment in what finds best or what works best for you. I personally like journaling and planning for the next day because it allows me to completely clear my head before lying down for the night. Over time, all these activities will work as a trigger to tell your brain that it's time to get ready for bed. After a week of utilizing this pre-sleep routine, you're going to start seeing huge improvements almost immediately, and your ability to fall asleep and fast at a consistent time is going to improve. Let's also talk briefly about room temperature and external lights when sleeping because it's important. Studies show that a room temperature of around 65 degrees is ideal for most people. This is going to vary though, depending on the person, because some people naturally run more hot than others. I turn into a goddamn furnace when I go to sleep. My speculation is that it's a survival mechanism designed to keep my body warm when it's cold outside. This would make sense considering all of my ancestors are from Northern Europe, but I'm not a scientist, so don't fucking quote me on that. You also need to eliminate light as much as possible. Your eyes can still perceive light even when your eyelids are closed. So get some blackout curtains, blinds, and cover any LED lights that are on electronics. That little red light is affecting your sleep more than you realize. Make your room an actual cave. All right, so we just tackled a lot of information, and I could keep going because there's a ton of more information to talk about. But I know this is a lot to digest in one sitting, so we're going to stop it there. I'm going to go ahead and go over my personal sleep routine real quick. That way you can have it as a reference to develop your own. I wake up at 4:59 every morning. Immediately after waking up, I chug my water, apple cider, lemon concoction thing, and then I jump to a cold shower for at least a couple minutes. This is absolutely miserable, but it helps wake me up and I enjoy it now. Next thing I do is I go into my home office, I turn on all my lights and do 10 minutes of breath work followed by 20 minutes of meditation. Then I read for 20 minutes and I spend the next 40 minutes working on something important. Notice how all of this is broken down into a 90-minute increment. At this point, my daughter is usually awake and the sun is up. So I'll make her some breakfast and I'll go outside for about 10 to 15 minutes to let the sun do its work. I try to do this barefoot so I'm also grounding at the same time. It's all about getting in sync with nature like your ancestors would have done. Around 2:30 in the afternoon, 3 o'clock, I will take a 20-minute nap or do a session of yoga nidra. I do this right before my workout, that way I'm recharged for it. When I get home, the only light that I turn on is a lamp that's in my living room. I begin my pre-sleep routine around 8 o'clock, which is 90 minutes before I go to bed, and my house goes back in time to the year 1400. The only light that I use from this point forward is a candle. I use a scented sleep well candle that you can find on Amazon, but really anything with a lavender scent will help you unwind. I'll do some yoga, meditation, journaling, and schedule my next day during this time period. At roughly 9:15, my ass is in bed and I'm asleep around 9:30. This routine is what works best for me, but you should develop your own. The key to productivity and feeling good is structure, and you're guaranteed to dominate life when you combine structure with discipline. Most people are not willing to be this disciplined, especially when it comes to their sleep. These are the same people that bitch and complain about their problems without doing anything to fix it. Don't be that person. Decide right now to be the best version of yourself and take small steps daily to improve. It's as simple as that. These small steps will add up over time and you'll be a completely different person before you know it. This all starts with getting a solid night's rest and waking up recharged, ready to conquer the day. Now, I hope that you enjoyed this episode of the Norse Mentality, and I invite you to share it with your friends and family if you found it beneficial. You can find me on Instagram at Andrew Cliff Lewis. And yeah, thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you soon.